There's something you've been carrying in silence for far too long. Maybe it's the weight of knowing you're capable of so much more than your current circumstances reflect. Maybe it's the exhaustion of watching others prosper while you work just as hard, yet remain trapped in the same financial patterns, month after month, year after year. You smile and say you're grateful, and you are, but deep down, there's a voice whispering that this cannot be all there is to your story. I am Solomon, and I ruled over the greatest kingdom the world has ever known. I possessed wealth that made nations tremble and wisdom that drew queens from distant lands to my court. But here's what most will never tell you about true prosperity. It was never about the gold in my treasury or the ivory in my palace. It was about who I had to become to be entrusted with such power. You see, wealth is not random. Fortune is not a lottery ticket. The universe, the divine, whatever you choose to call it, does not hand over kingdoms to children. It does not place infinite resources in the hands of those who cannot handle infinite responsibility. There are 7 qualities, 7 spiritual foundations that I discovered through revelation and experience that act as divine signals. They tell the forces of creation that you are ready to carry not just money but purpose, ready to wield not just influence but wisdom. Tonight, I want to transform how you see yourself, not as someone begging for scraps from life's table, but as royalty preparing to claim your throne. Not as someone hoping for a lucky break, but as a king or queen in training, developing the character worthy of a crown. This is not about positive thinking or empty affirmations. This is about the ancient code that separates those who receive from those who merely want. The moment has come to stop wondering why others have what you desire and start building what they possess within their soul. If you're ready to discover these 7 qualities and begin your transformation from subject to sovereign, then this journey requires your complete commitment. Subscribe now, because what I'm about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about wealth, and those who are meant to hear this message will recognize the call in their spirit. Number 1, the spiritual call to wealth. You wake up every morning with a hunger in your chest, not for food, not for comfort, but for something more, something that feels just out of reach, like a melody you can almost remember but can never quite sing. You've been taught to feel guilty about this hunger. Society tells you that wanting wealth is shallow, that desiring abundance is selfish, that dreaming of financial freedom makes you somehow less spiritual. But what if I told you that this very hunger, this divine discontent, is not a flaw in your character, but a calling written into your soul by the hand of creation itself? I am Solomon, and I have walked where few dare to tread. I have stood at the intersection of the material and the eternal, where gold meets spirit and earthly power serves heavenly purpose. Listen to me carefully. The guilt you feel about wanting wealth is not wisdom. It is fear disguised as virtue. The shame that creeps into your heart when you dream of abundance is not humility. It is the enemy of your destiny, whispering lies to keep you small, to keep you safe, to keep you from the throne that has been prepared for you since the foundation of time. Here is the truth that will shatter every limiting belief you've ever held about money. Wealth is not the enemy of spirituality. Wealth is the reward of spirituality, not the shallow kind of spirituality that speaks in platitudes and offers nothing but empty comfort, but the deep, transformative spirituality that changes you from the inside out, that makes you worthy of the resources that can change the world. The divine does not pour treasures into broken vessels. The universe does not entrust kingdoms to children. And you, my friend, have been called to be more than a child begging for scraps from heaven's table. Picture for a moment the great cedar trees of Lebanon that I used to build my temple. These trees did not apologize for growing tall. They did not feel guilty for reaching toward the sky. They did not shrink themselves to make the smaller plants around them feel better. They grew according to their nature, according to their divine design, and in doing so, they became worthy to house the presence of the Most High. They became materials for something greater than themselves. This is your calling, not to remain a sapling, apologizing for your potential, but to grow into the mighty tree you were designed to be, worthy to be used for purposes that will echo through eternity. Let me tell you about the day everything changed for me. I was young, perhaps younger than you are now, when the responsibility of a kingdom was placed upon my shoulders. I could have asked for many things. I could have requested long life, victory over my enemies, or riches beyond measure. But something deep within me understood that these things were consequences, not goals. Instead, I asked for wisdom. I asked for the ability to govern well, to discern between good and evil, to lead with justice and compassion. And in that moment of alignment, when my personal desires surrendered to a higher purpose, the floodgates of heaven opened. The wealth came not because I pursued it, but because I became someone worthy of it. The gold flowed not because I grasped for it, but because I had prepared my hands to hold it responsibly. The power was given not because I demanded it, but because I had proven I would use it to serve something greater than myself. This is the spiritual call to wealth. It is not about getting, it is about becoming. It is not about accumulating, it is about transforming. But here is where most people miss the mark entirely. They see the wealth and want to copy the result without understanding the process. They see the crown and forget about the character required to wear it. They focus on the destination and ignore the journey that makes the destination meaningful. Wealth without character is not a blessing. It is a curse. Money in the hands of the unprepared is not a gift. It is a weapon that will ultimately destroy them. The spiritual call to wealth begins with a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and your purpose on this earth. You are not here by accident. You are not a cosmic mistake, wandering aimlessly through life hoping for a lucky break. You are a chosen vessel, designed for a specific purpose, equipped with unique gifts and talents that the world desperately needs. But those gifts must be developed. Those talents must be refined. And most importantly, your character must be forged in the fires of discipline and tested in the crucible of daily choices. The divine is constantly scanning the earth, looking for men and women who can be trusted with resources. Not just any resources, but resources that can impact generations. Think about this for a moment. Would you give a sharp knife to a toddler? Would you hand the keys of a race car to someone who has never learned to drive? Of course not. And neither will the universe place infinite wealth in the hands of someone who has not proven they can handle finite responsibility. This is why your current circumstances are not your punishment. They are your preparation. Every challenge you face is developing your capacity. Every obstacle you overcome is expanding your ability to handle greater pressures. Every moment of restraint when you want to give up is building the spiritual muscle you will need when the real tests come. The person you are becoming in the struggle is more valuable than anything you could gain without it. The spiritual call to wealth demands that you stop seeing money as an end in itself and start seeing it as a tool for transformation. Not just your transformation, but the transformation of everyone your life touches. When I accumulated wealth, it was never about filling my own storehouse. It was about having the resources to build a temple that would house the presence of God. It was about having the means to create trade relationships that would bring peace between nations. It was about possessing the abundance necessary to demonstrate to the world what happens when heaven and earth work together in harmony. Your wealth, when it comes, and it will come if you heed this call, is not meant to make your life easier. It is meant to make your life more meaningful. It is not meant to remove responsibility from your shoulders. It is meant to increase your capacity to carry responsibility for others. It is not meant to separate you from humanity. It is meant to position you as a bridge between the divine and the human, showing the world what is possible when someone aligns themselves completely with their highest calling. But this calling is not for everyone. It requires sacrifice. It demands growth. It insists on integrity. Most people, when they hear this truth, will turn away. They want the blessing without the burden. They desire the crown without the cross. They seek the reward without the responsibility. And so they remain exactly where they are, wondering why others prosper while they struggle, never understanding that prosperity is not a gift arbitrarily given but a trust carefully earned. The spiritual call to wealth is calling to you right now, in this very moment. It is asking you to stop making excuses for why you cannot rise. It is challenging you to stop hiding behind false humility and spiritual platitudes. It is demanding that you take responsibility for developing yourself into someone worthy of the blessings you seek. The question is not whether you are called. The question is whether you will answer the call. Number 2, the 7 qualities God rewards. You have felt it, haven't you? That moment when you are alone with your thoughts and you realize that success is not random. It is not luck. It is not connections or circumstances or being born into the right family. Deep down, beneath all the excuses and explanations you give yourself, you know there is something different about people who consistently prosper, something in their character, something in their spirit, something that attracts abundance like a magnet draws iron. Tonight, I will reveal to you the 7 qualities that heaven recognizes and rewards with wealth beyond measure. The first quality is inner discipline, and it is the foundation upon which all other qualities rest. Without discipline, every other virtue crumbles under pressure. Inner discipline is not about following rules created by others. It is about becoming the master of your own desires, the commander of your own impulses, the king of your own kingdom. Most people are slaves to whatever they feel in the moment. Hungry, they eat. Tired, they sleep. Angry, they lash out. Afraid, they hide. But those destined for greatness understand that feelings are not facts and impulses are not instructions. I remember standing in my palace, watching merchants from distant lands bring their finest goods to trade. One merchant caught my attention. While others rushed to display their wares, eager to make a quick sale, this man waited. He observed. He listened. When others spoke, he remained silent. When negotiations began, he did not jump at the first offer. He had trained himself to see beyond the immediate, to think beyond the moment. That merchant left my court with more gold than the others combined, not because his goods were superior, but because his discipline was superior. He had mastered the art of delayed gratification. He understood that patience multiplied profit. Inner discipline means saying no to the good so you can say yes to the great. It means choosing the difficult path today so you can walk the easy path tomorrow. It means sacrificing immediate pleasures for eternal treasures. Every successful person I have ever known possessed this quality. They could resist temptation not because they were perfect, but because they had trained themselves to see beyond the temptation to the greater reward waiting on the other side of their discipline. The second quality is the relentless pursuit of wisdom. Wisdom is not intelligence. Intelligence can be inherited, but wisdom must be earned. Intelligence deals with facts, but wisdom deals with truth. Intelligence knows how to make money, but wisdom knows how to make money work. Those who attract lasting wealth understand that their mind is their greatest asset, and like any asset, it must be continuously improved, constantly updated, perpetually refined. I spent years studying, not just the scrolls of my own people, but the knowledge of every nation. I questioned the wise men of Egypt about their mysteries. I learned from the traders of Phoenicia about commerce. I studied the military strategies of great generals and the agricultural methods of successful farmers. While others slept, I studied. While others celebrated, I learned. While others relaxed, I grew. This was not obsession. This was investment. I was investing in the mind that would one day manage unimaginable wealth. Wisdom teaches you to learn from every mistake, especially your own. Foolish people repeat their errors. Wise people transform their errors into education. Wisdom shows you how to find mentors and how to become worthy of their teaching. Foolish people think they already know everything they need to know. Wise people understand that the more they learn, the more they realize how much they do not know. This humility keeps them growing while pride keeps others stagnant. The third quality is unshakable integrity. Integrity is keeping your word when keeping it costs you something. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching. Integrity is being the same person in private that you are in public. Most people think integrity is expensive, but I will tell you what is truly expensive: the lack of integrity. It costs you your reputation. It costs you trust. It costs you sleep. It costs you the ability to look at yourself in the mirror without shame. Integrity creates trust, and trust creates opportunity. When people know they can count on your word, they begin to count on you for bigger things. When they know you will do what you say you will do, they begin to entrust you with more than what you originally agreed to do. I became known throughout the region not just for my wisdom or wealth, but for my integrity. Kings knew that a treaty with Solomon was as solid as the stones of my temple. Merchants knew that a contract with my kingdom was worth more than gold because it would be honored completely. But integrity is tested most severely when honoring your word will cost you money. It is tested when telling the truth might lose you an opportunity. It is tested when doing the right thing puts you at a disadvantage compared to those who choose to cut corners. These are the moments when your character is forged, when your integrity becomes unshakable, when heaven takes notice of who you really are when the pressure is on. The fourth quality is long-term vision. Most people think in days and weeks. Successful people think in years and decades. Wealthy people think in generations and centuries. They understand that every decision today is an investment in a future they may not live to see fully, but their children and grandchildren will inherit completely. Long-term vision means planting trees whose shade you may never enjoy. It means building foundations for structures you may never see completed. It means making sacrifices today for rewards that may not come for years. When I built the temple, I did not build it to last a few years. I built it to stand for generations. Every stone was chosen with eternity in mind. Every beam was positioned with permanence as the goal. This was not just construction. This was legacy building. This was thinking beyond my own lifetime to impact lifetimes I would never see. This is how lasting wealth is created, not through quick schemes or short-term gains, but through long-term vision executed with daily discipline. Long-term vision gives you patience when others panic. It gives you peace when others are anxious. It gives you the ability to make unpopular decisions today because you can see the popular results those decisions will create tomorrow. While others are focused on immediate gratification, you are focused on ultimate satisfaction. The fifth quality is strategic generosity. This is perhaps the most misunderstood principle of wealth creation. Generosity is not giving because you have to. It is giving because you understand that giving creates a circulation of abundance that eventually returns to bless the giver. But strategic generosity goes deeper than random acts of kindness. It is about empowering others in ways that create prosperity for everyone involved. When I helped other kingdoms develop their trade routes, I was not being charitable. I was being strategic. When their economies grew, they had more resources to trade with my kingdom. When their people prospered, they became better customers for our goods and services. Strategic generosity understands that your prosperity is connected to the prosperity of others. It seeks to create win-win relationships where everyone benefits and everyone grows. Strategic generosity also means investing in people, not just projects. It means identifying potential in others and helping them develop that potential. Some of my greatest returns came not from investing in gold or land, but from investing in people who later became key leaders in expanding my kingdom's influence and wealth. The sixth quality is humility before the divine. This is not the false humility that makes excuses for mediocrity. This is the genuine humility that recognizes that wisdom, opportunity, and blessing ultimately come from a source higher than ourselves. It is the humility that seeks guidance before making major decisions. It is the humility that gives credit where credit is due. It is the humility that understands that everything we have is a trust, and trusts can be removed as easily as they are given. I learned early that my own understanding, no matter how vast, was limited. My own perspective, no matter how broad, was still finite. So I developed the habit of prayer and reflection before every major decision. I sought divine wisdom before human wisdom. I asked for guidance before I asked for gain. This humility did not make me weak. It made me wise. It did not make me passive. It made me powerful. Because when you align yourself with the infinite, you gain access to resources and strategies that finite thinking cannot comprehend. The seventh and final quality is courage to act with faith. Knowledge without action is worthless. Plans without execution are fantasies. Vision without courage is just daydreaming. At some point, you must step out of the boat of your comfort zone and walk on the water of your faith. You must make decisions based on conviction rather than certainty. You must move forward even when you cannot see the complete path ahead. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means action in the presence of fear. Every great fortune was built by someone who was afraid but acted anyway. Every lasting legacy was created by someone who felt uncertain but moved forward regardless. The difference between those who achieve and those who merely dream is not the absence of doubt, but the presence of courage to act despite the doubt. These 7 qualities work together like instruments in an orchestra. Each one is important individually, but together they create a symphony that heaven cannot ignore. When you develop these qualities, you are not just preparing to receive wealth, you are preparing to steward wealth. You are not just getting ready to accumulate resources. You are getting ready to multiply resources for the benefit of generations, yet unborn. The development of these qualities is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong journey. Every day provides opportunities to strengthen your discipline, deepen your wisdom, prove your integrity, expand your vision, practice your generosity, demonstrate your humility, and exercise your courage. The person you become through this process is infinitely more valuable than any amount of money you could accumulate without it. Number 3, applying these qualities in daily life. There is a gap between knowing and being, a chasm between understanding and embodying. You can memorize every principle of success, quote every law of prosperity, and study every strategy of wealth building. But if you do not bridge the gap between knowledge and application, between information and transformation, you will remain exactly where you are, frustrated by the distance between what you know and what you live. The 7 qualities I have revealed to you are not merely concepts to be understood. They are powers to be unleashed through the laboratory of your daily existence. Your life is not random. Your days are not accidents. Your routine is not insignificant. Every moment you live is either building the character that attracts abundance or reinforcing the patterns that repel it. Every choice you make is either moving you closer to your destiny or keeping you trapped in your current circumstances. The secret that separates those who transform their lives from those who merely dream about transformation is this. They understand that greatness is not an event. It is a habit. It is not a destination. It is a daily practice. Consider the master craftsman who shapes gold into works of art. He does not wait for inspiration to strike once a month. He does not practice his craft only when he feels motivated. Every single day, he picks up his tools. Every single day, he works with the metal. Every single day, he refines his technique. Some days the work feels effortless and inspired. Other days it feels difficult and forced. But every day, without exception, he shows up. This daily commitment to his craft is what separates him from the amateur who creates sporadically and wonders why his work never reaches the level of mastery. Your character is the gold. Your daily habits are the tools. Your commitment to consistent practice is what will transform raw potential into refined excellence. But here is what most people do not understand about building new habits and breaking old ones. They focus on the behavior instead of the identity. They try to act differently without becoming different. They attempt to change what they do without changing who they are. This approach always fails because behavior that does not align with identity cannot be sustained over time. Let me give you a powerful framework that will revolutionize how you approach personal transformation. Instead of trying to develop the habit of discipline, focus on becoming a disciplined person. Instead of trying to develop the habit of studying, focus on becoming a person who values wisdom above entertainment. Instead of trying to develop the habit of integrity, focus on becoming a person whose word is their bond. When you change your identity, your behavior follows naturally. When you change who you are, what you do becomes an expression of your nature rather than a struggle against it. This identity shift begins with how you see yourself in the small moments. When your alarm goes off in the morning, you have a choice. You can hit the snooze button and tell yourself that a few more minutes of sleep will not matter, or you can get up immediately and declare through your actions that you are the kind of person who keeps commitments to themselves. This may seem insignificant, but it is in these seemingly small moments that your character is either built or eroded. When you feel the urge to make an impulse purchase, you have a choice. You can give in to the immediate gratification and tell yourself that this one purchase will not affect your long-term financial goals, or you can pause, reflect, and make a decision based on your values rather than your feelings. In that moment of pause, you are not just saving money. You are developing the muscle of self-control that will serve you when much larger sums are at stake. When you encounter information that challenges your current beliefs or reveals gaps in your knowledge, you have a choice. You can dismiss it to protect your ego and remain comfortable in your current understanding, or you can embrace the discomfort of learning and grow through the process. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you are becoming the kind of person who pursues wisdom relentlessly. Let me share with you the daily rhythm that transformed my own life and prepared me to receive and steward unimaginable wealth. Every morning, before attending to the affairs of the kingdom, I would spend time in reflection and study. This was not just reading for information. This was studying for transformation. I would ask myself hard questions. What did I learn yesterday that I can apply today? What mistake did I make that I can learn from? What opportunity did I miss that I can be better prepared for next time? This practice of morning reflection served multiple purposes. First, it developed the habit of continuous learning. Second, it created space for divine wisdom to speak into my daily decisions. Third, it ensured that each day was lived intentionally rather than reactively. Most people live their lives in response to whatever happens to them. Successful people live their lives in alignment with their values and goals regardless of what happens around them. After my time of reflection, I would spend time planning, not just scheduling activities, but aligning my actions with my long-term vision. I would ask myself, what must I do today that will matter 10 years from now? What decision can I make today that will compound over time to create the future I desire? What investment can I make today in my character, my relationships, or my skills that will pay dividends for decades to come? This practice of daily planning based on long-term vision prevented me from getting caught up in the urgent at the expense of the important. It helped me distinguish between what was merely good and what was truly great. It ensured that my daily actions were building towards something significant rather than just filling time. Throughout each day, I made it a practice to look for opportunities to demonstrate the qualities that I wanted to develop. When someone requested my help, I saw it as an opportunity to practice generosity. When I faced a difficult decision, I saw it as an opportunity to exercise wisdom. When I was tempted to take shortcuts, I saw it as an opportunity to strengthen my integrity. When I felt uncertain about a course of action, I saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate courage. This reframing of daily challenges as character-building opportunities transformed my entire experience of life. Instead of seeing obstacles as problems to be avoided, I began to see them as training exercises designed to prepare me for greater responsibilities. Instead of resenting difficult people or situations, I began to be grateful for them because they were developing qualities in me that I could not develop in easy circumstances. The evening was reserved for reflection and evaluation. I would review the day with complete honesty. Where did I act in alignment with my values? Where did I fall short of my own standards? What did I learn? How did I grow? What can I do better tomorrow? This practice of evening reflection prevented me from repeating the same mistakes over and over again. It turned every experience into a learning opportunity. But perhaps most importantly, this daily rhythm created compound growth. Each day built upon the previous day. Each week was stronger than the week before. Each month revealed measurable progress toward becoming the person I was destined to be. The changes were often subtle from day to day, but dramatic from year to year. This is how true transformation happens, not through dramatic overnight changes, but through consistent daily practices that accumulate over time. Your current daily routine is creating your future reality. Your current habits are building your future character. Your current choices are determining your future opportunities. If you want to change your results, you must change your routine. If you want to transform your circumstances, you must transform your daily practices. If you want to become someone worthy of great wealth, you must begin living like that person today, starting with the smallest daily decisions. The path to extraordinary wealth is not mysterious or complicated. It is simple, but it is not easy. It requires you to do ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. It demands that you make choices based on your long-term vision rather than your current feelings. It insists that you invest in your character with the same intensity that you would invest in a business that could make you millions. Your transformation begins today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances are perfect. Today, with the very next choice you make, with the very next action you take. Will you choose the path of least resistance, or will you choose the path of greatest growth? Will you settle for who you have always been, or will you commit to becoming who you are capable of being? The answer to these questions will determine whether you remain where you are or rise to where you belong. Number 4, character, wisdom, and lasting wealth. You have seen them, haven't you? The lottery winners who lose everything within 5 years. The athletes who earn millions but end up bankrupt. The business owners who build empires only to watch them crumble. The celebrities who have fame and fortune but live lives of quiet desperation. You have witnessed the tragic pattern of people who get rich quickly only to become poor even more quickly. And if you are honest with yourself, this frightens you, because deep down you wonder if the same thing could happen to you. If somehow you managed to acquire great wealth, would you be able to keep it? Would you be worthy of it? Would it ultimately bless you or destroy you? The answer to these questions lies not in how much money you accumulate, but in who you become while accumulating it. There is a fundamental difference between getting rich and staying rich, between achieving wealth and sustaining wealth, between having money and being worthy of money. This difference is not about luck or circumstances or market conditions. It is about character. It is about wisdom. It is about becoming the kind of person who does not just attract abundance but maintains it, multiplies it, and uses it for purposes that echo through eternity. Let me tell you what I have observed about wealth throughout my reign as the richest man in history. Money is like water. If you pour it into a vessel with cracks, it will leak out no matter how much you pour in. If you pour it into a vessel that is strong and well-made, it will not only stay contained but can be used to nourish and sustain life. Character is the vessel. Your integrity, your discipline, your wisdom, your values. These are what determine whether wealth stays or goes, whether it serves you or enslaves you, whether it becomes a blessing or a curse. I have seen men come into great wealth through inheritance, business success, or strategic partnerships. Some maintained and multiplied their wealth across generations. Others lost everything and left their children worse off than when they started. The difference was never in how they got the money. The difference was always in who they were when they got it. Character is what sustains what money achieves. Without character, money becomes a burden too heavy to carry. With character, money becomes a tool for building legacies that outlast lifetimes. Consider the foundation of a great building. You cannot see it once construction is complete, but everything depends upon it. If the foundation is weak, the entire structure will eventually collapse no matter how beautiful or impressive the upper floors might be. If the foundation is strong, the building can weather storms that would destroy lesser structures. Your character is the foundation of your wealth. If your character is weak, no amount of money will make you secure. If your character is strong, even small amounts of money will multiply and compound over time. Let me share with you the story of two merchants who traded in my kingdom. Both were intelligent. Both were hardworking. Both had access to the same markets and opportunities. The first merchant focused entirely on profit. He would promise anything to make a sale. He would cut corners to reduce costs. He would take advantage of others whenever possible. He would break agreements if it benefited him financially. For a time, this approach seemed successful. His profits grew quickly. His wealth appeared to multiply rapidly. The second merchant focused on relationships and reputation. He kept every promise even when it cost him short-term profit. He treated his customers and suppliers fairly even when he could have taken advantage of them. He built his business slowly but solidly, making sure that every transaction created value for everyone involved. His profits grew more slowly at first, but they grew consistently and sustainably. After 10 years, the first merchant had lost everything. His reputation was destroyed. His relationships were broken. No one would do business with him. He had to start over from nothing, and because of his reputation, few were willing to give him another chance. The second merchant had built a trading empire that spanned multiple kingdoms. His reputation opened doors that money alone never could. His relationships created opportunities that lasted for generations. His children and grandchildren inherited not just wealth, but a legacy of trust and respect that continued to generate prosperity long after he was gone. This is the power of character. It does not just attract wealth. It protects wealth. It multiplies wealth. It ensures that wealth serves its highest purpose rather than becoming a source of corruption and destruction. But character alone is not enough. Character must be combined with wisdom. Wisdom is what protects against the pride that comes with success and the complacency that comes with comfort. Wisdom understands that every blessing carries responsibility. Every gift requires stewardship. Every privilege demands accountability. The wealthy person without wisdom begins to believe that their success is entirely due to their own efforts and intelligence. They forget that every opportunity was given, every door was opened, every favor was granted. This forgetfulness leads to pride, and pride always leads to a fall. Wisdom also understands that circumstances change, markets fluctuate, industries evolve, technologies disrupt, political climates shift. What works today may not work tomorrow. The wise, wealthy person does not put all their trust in current conditions. They diversify not just their investments, but their skills, their relationships, and their strategies. They remain students long after they become teachers. They stay humble long after they have reasons to be proud. I remained on the throne for 40 years not because I was perfect, but because I never stopped learning. Every day brought new challenges that required new wisdom. Every year presented situations that I had never faced before. If I had relied only on what I knew in my first year as king, I would have been overthrown before my second year began. Wisdom is what allowed me to adapt, to grow, to evolve with changing circumstances, while maintaining the core principles that made me successful in the first place. But perhaps the most important aspect of maintaining lasting wealth is understanding its true purpose. Money is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. It is not the goal. It is a tool for achieving the goal. Those who treat money as the ultimate objective will eventually be consumed by their own greed. Those who understand that money is simply a resource for accomplishing something greater will find that money serves them faithfully throughout their lifetime. When I accumulated wealth, it was never for the sake of accumulation itself. It was always for a purpose: to build a temple that would house the presence of the divine, to create trade relationships that would bring peace between nations, to establish a kingdom that would demonstrate to the world what was possible when wisdom governed power. The wealth was important, but it was important because of what it enabled me to accomplish, not because of what it allowed me to possess. This understanding of purpose is what keeps wealth in proper perspective. It prevents money from becoming an idol that demands worship and sacrifice. It keeps the wealthy person grounded in something greater than themselves. It ensures that wealth remains a servant rather than becoming a master. The tragic irony of most people who lose their wealth is that they got exactly what they thought they wanted, only to discover that what they wanted was not what they needed. They wanted money for the freedom it would provide, only to discover that money without character creates bondage. They wanted wealth for the security it would bring, only to discover that wealth without wisdom creates anxiety. They wanted riches for the respect they would generate, only to discover that riches without integrity create isolation. True lasting wealth is not just about having money. It is about becoming the kind of person who can handle money responsibly. It is about developing the character that money cannot corrupt and the wisdom that success cannot cloud. It is about understanding that every dollar you control is a vote for the kind of world you want to create. It is about recognizing that your wealth is not just yours, but is a trust that you hold on behalf of future generations. The question is not whether you can get rich. With enough effort and the right strategies, most people can accumulate significant wealth. The question is whether you can stay rich, whether you can handle wealth without losing your soul, whether you can use wealth to create something meaningful rather than just accumulating it for the sake of accumulation. The answer to these questions depends entirely on who you become in the process of building wealth, not just on how much wealth you manage to build. Number 5, legacy and eternity mindset. You are going to die. I know this is not comfortable to think about, but it is the most liberating truth you will ever accept. Your time on this earth is limited. Your days are numbered. Your opportunities have an expiration date. And yet, paradoxically, when you truly embrace this reality, when you let it sink into your bones and transform how you see every moment you have been given, something remarkable happens. You stop living for today and start living for forever. You stop building for yourself and start building for eternity. You stop thinking about what you can get and start focusing on what you can give. Most people live as if they will be here forever. They make decisions based on immediate comfort rather than lasting impact. They pursue goals that will matter for years rather than goals that will matter for generations. They build wealth to make their own lives easier rather than to make the world better. But there is a small percentage of people who understand that their true legacy is not what they accumulate while they are alive, but what continues to grow and give after they are gone. I have been dead for nearly 3,000 years, yet my influence continues to touch lives around the world every single day. The temple I built was destroyed, but the wisdom I shared has been preserved and passed down through countless generations. The gold I accumulated has long since been spent, but the principles I lived by continue to create wealth for those who apply them. The kingdom I ruled has been replaced by other kingdoms, but the example I set of how to lead with wisdom and integrity continues to inspire leaders in every generation. This is the power of thinking beyond your own lifetime. This is the transformation that happens when you shift from a temporal mindset to an eternal mindset. When you begin to see your life not as a brief flicker of existence, but as a single thread in a tapestry that spans generations. When you understand that your choices today will echo through the lives of people you will never meet, children who are not yet born, generations that exist only in the mind of God. The eternal mindset transforms how you see wealth completely. Instead of asking how much money you can accumulate before you die, you start asking how much impact you can create that will outlive your death. Instead of focusing on building a bigger bank account, you focus on building a better world. Instead of measuring success by what you own, you measure it by what you have contributed to the ongoing story of human flourishing. But let me be clear about something. The eternal mindset is not about neglecting your present responsibilities or ignoring your current needs. It is not about living in poverty while dreaming of posthumous impact. The eternal mindset actually makes you more effective in the present because it gives every action you take a deeper meaning and higher purpose. When you know that what you do today will matter 100 years from now, you bring a level of intentionality and excellence to your work that those who live only for today can never match. Think about the Great Pyramids of Egypt. They have stood for thousands of years not because they were built quickly or cheaply, but because they were built by people who understood that what they were creating was meant to last forever. Every stone was placed with eternity in mind. Every measurement was made with permanence as the goal. The builders knew they would not live to see these structures reach their 1000th birthday, but they built them as if they would personally be responsible for their condition at that time. This is how you must approach the building of your wealth and influence. Not as a temporary project designed to serve your immediate needs, but as a permanent structure designed to serve generations of people who will come after you. Every business decision you make should be filtered through the question: will this choice contribute to something that will still be making a positive difference in the world 50 years from now? Every investment you consider should be evaluated not just on its potential return, but on its potential impact on the ongoing welfare of humanity. The eternal mindset also changes how you see failure and setbacks. When you are building for eternity, temporary defeats become learning opportunities. Short-term losses become investments in long-term wisdom. Current struggles become the foundation for future strength. You develop a patience and perseverance that those who live for immediate gratification cannot understand, because you know that what you are building is bigger than any single moment or season of difficulty. I faced many challenges during my reign that could have discouraged someone who was only thinking about immediate results. There were years when the temple construction seemed to progress too slowly. There were seasons when trade relationships were strained and profits were reduced. There were moments when I questioned whether the sacrifices I was making would be worth it. But because I understood that I was building something that would serve the purposes of the divine for generations to come, I persevered through every difficulty with the confidence that comes from knowing your work has eternal significance. The eternal mindset attracts resources in ways that the temporal mindset never can. People want to invest in projects that will outlast their own involvement. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want their contribution to matter beyond their own lifetime. When you can articulate a vision that extends beyond your own years, when you can demonstrate that you are building something that will continue to create value long after you are gone, you will find that others are eager to support your efforts with their time, talents, and treasures. But the eternal mindset requires sacrifice. It demands that you sometimes choose the difficult path today so that others can walk an easier path tomorrow. It requires you to plant trees whose shade you will never enjoy. It asks you to invest in projects whose full benefits you will never see. It challenges you to work toward goals that may not be achieved within your lifetime, but will definitely be achieved because of your lifetime. This is perhaps the hardest part of the eternal mindset for most people to accept. We want to see the results of our efforts. We want to enjoy the fruits of our labor. We want to receive credit for our contributions. The eternal mindset asks us to be content with knowing that we played our part in a story much larger than ourselves, even if we never get to read the final chapter. It asks us to find fulfillment in being faithful to our calling, rather than in seeing the complete fulfillment of our calling. The legacy you leave is not determined by what you accomplish, but by what you enable others to accomplish. It is not measured by what you achieve, but by what you make possible for others to achieve. It is not calculated by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute to the accumulated wisdom, wealth, and welfare of the human family. Your true wealth is not what you can count in your bank account, but what you can count in the lives that are better because you lived. When I look back on my life in Rain, I am most proud not of the gold I accumulated, but of the wisdom I shared. Not of the buildings I constructed, but of the principles I established. Not of the power I wielded, but of the example I set. The temple was magnificent, but it was made of stone and wood that could be destroyed. The wisdom I passed down was made of truth and insight that can never be destroyed. The wealth I accumulated was impressive, but it could be stolen or lost. The legacy I created was invaluable, and it continues to compound interest in lives around the world every day. This is what I want you to understand about true wealth. It is not about how much you can gather for yourself. It is about how much you can give to others. It is not about how big a pile you can create. It is about how wide a circle of influence you can establish. It is not about how much you can take with you when you die. It is about how much you can leave behind that will continue to give life to others long after you are gone. The eternal mindset is calling you to see your life, your gifts, your opportunities, and yes, your wealth, as trust funds that have been placed in your care not for your exclusive benefit but for the benefit of generations. You are not the owner of these resources. You are the steward. Your job is not to consume them but to multiply them. Your responsibility is not to hoard them but to invest them in ways that will create ongoing returns for people who are not yet born. This is the ultimate test of character. This is the final measure of wisdom. This is the true purpose of wealth, not to serve your temporary comfort but to serve the eternal plan. Not to make your short life easier, but to make the long story of humanity better. When you can embrace this calling, when you can commit to this purpose, when you can live with this mindset, you will discover that you have access to resources, relationships, and opportunities that those who live only for themselves will never experience. Because the universe, the divine, the eternal, whatever you choose to call it, is always looking for people who can be trusted with more because they have proven they will use what they have been given not just for themselves, but for the sake of all. There is a moment, perhaps it will come tonight as you lay in the quiet darkness, or perhaps tomorrow as you stand before another ordinary choice that could become extraordinary, when something shifts inside you. Not a voice exactly, but a knowing. Not a revelation from outside, but a recognition from within. You will feel it in your chest first, that deep stirring that tells you the person you have been is no longer the person you are becoming. This is the moment when the 7 qualities stop being concepts you study and start being powers you embody. When discipline stops feeling like restriction and starts feeling like freedom. When the pursuit of wisdom stops being work and starts being worship. When integrity stops being a burden and starts being your identity. In that sacred moment of inner alignment, you will understand why the universe has been preparing you through every struggle, refining you through every challenge, positioning you for this awakening. Picture a river that has been dammed for decades. Its waters rising higher and higher behind the wall, building pressure, gathering force, waiting for the moment of release. Your potential has been gathering like those waters. Your gifts have been accumulating like that pressure. Every moment of discipline you have practiced, every piece of wisdom you have gained, every act of integrity you have chosen, has been adding to the reservoir of your readiness. The dam is about to break, not through force but through alignment, not through struggle but through surrender to who you were always meant to become. And when it does, the abundance that flows will not be just for you, but through you, creating fertility in every life your river touches. The qualities are calling to you now, not as distant ideals but as present realities waiting to be claimed. Subscribe to this awakening, to this transformation that knows no end, to this journey that deepens with every step you take. The throne that has been prepared for you since the foundation of time is not something you will one day earn. It is something you are right now learning to occupy.